Good morning. Good morning. It's another beautiful day in the crypto market, guys. Things are starting to look very good. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. DC Life, thank you for your comments. Thank you for joining. Eric TM101, welcome in from the Netherlands. Jan Nendra, I'm saying that right? Welcome in from X. Let's do a review on Corium. I could take a look at Corium. We'll touch on that later as we look through different altcoins. Welcome in, everybody. Another day, great day in the crypto bull market. I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome in. Guys, hit that thumbs up button on the way in. Hit that thumbs up button, hit the heart button wherever you're watching or listening. Follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Got quite a few people coming in now. Rancher2887, what's up? Welcome from the Bronx. I grew up in New York, by the way, Rancher, in Queens, and lived in Brooklyn, but had some friends in the Bronx for sure. Thomas Gosling, good day from Bristol. Welcome in. Stefane, good morning from Quebec, Canada. Great to have you. Matthew, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Thank you for joining. Sesame XRP, let's F and go. Jan De Jong, hi, Tony. Will April be the month we all have been waiting for? Yes, I believe so. I believe April will be the start of the reversal. And then into May, we can see new all-time highs. Living in Tallahassee, Florida. Excuse me. Welcome in. We got Bjorn, if I'm saying that right. Born. I apologize. I can't pronounce that. From Germany. Welcome in. VJ, good morning from Vancouver. Welcome in. Ronell, greetings from Florida. Welcome in. Lots of folks from Florida. I wouldn't mind being in Florida right now. Florida has some great weather, great beaches. Corey, welcome in from Detroit. Wow, got lots of people from across the country and even from across the world. It's pretty cool. Don't you love the internet that you can connect with people from across the world? It's pretty amazing. Matthew David says Hoboken train. Hey, Matthew, are you on the Hoboken train? Well, I'm in New Jersey, of course. I used to live in Hoboken. Now I live in the burbs, but very familiar with the Hoboken Path train and all that stuff there. Welcome in, everybody. It's another bullish day in the market. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening. We're seeing a bit of a reversal for Bitcoin in the stock market as well. Is this a dead cat bounce? Is this a bit of a bit of a relief rally? Then we retest the lows. Then we go higher. I want to break all of that down for you guys. XRP New Zealand, welcome in. E-tron, welcome in. Amelio Wright, if I'm saying that right. Green this morning, yes, indeed. Adam, good day from Queensland, Australia. Welcome in. All right, guys, let's get started. So we're seeing some good signs on Bitcoin here, back over $88,000. And if you look at the chart, you zoom in on the daily, we're seeing higher highs and higher lows. And we are back over the 200-day moving average, right? What have I told you guys? When you're above that, it's bull market. When you are consistently below the 200-day moving average, it's bear market. Now, that doesn't mean that in a bull market you can't dip below. We have many times. I mean, going back to 2023, even last year in the summer, where you had the Japanese yen carry trade situation, we dipped below it, but then bounce into a parabolic, right? So same thing is happening here, folks. No extended time below the 200-day moving average, excuse me. So this is bullish. This is a signal. Now it's just one signal, and we're going to look at many other signals, but this is a good sign. Now you put that in context with the DXY, which has been in a major downtrend, and even though it's finding a little bounce here, we know this is just a bit of a dead cat bounce before it starts rolling over. The charts and many different traders and analysts are saying this, and they show it on the charts, right? So it's a very good sign. And the stock market is also moving like Bitcoin, seeing a bounce. So the S&P 500 also recovers to the 200-day moving average, just like Bitcoin, right? Same thing with the NASDAQ. It is very close to the 200-day moving average, reclaiming that. So like I said, you're above this bull market. You are below it extensively. It is a bear market, just like we saw here in 2022. Same thing with the crypto market, right, guys? See the pattern? It's easy pattern recognition here, right? What's happening? Dow Jones also reclaiming the 200-day moving average. Very good sign, folks. I like what I'm seeing here. And for Bitcoin, the multi-month RSI downtrend is over. So we're seeing the breakout of that downtrend. All good signs. Even Bitcoin from a time horizon standpoint, still on track. The bull market is not over, guys. And it's not based on one metric, but multiple metrics, which we're going to cover. And we are seeing that, let me back up here. We're seeing that, I'm trying to find this gold chart. Here we go. So gold, if you guys recall, last year was a leading indicator because I've been telling you guys for years, we are in a macro bull market for all assets. And you may say, well, why are all assets pumping? Well, guys, it's because of global liquidity. So gold is leading the charge here. And what we've seen, the rotation of liquidity into crypto and the stock market, and they eventually catch up. So when you look at it from a macro, it's pretty clear. Is it 100% guaranteed and certain? Of course not, because none of us have a crystal ball. Black swan events can happen. But based on the data that we have, what we saw last year, what we're seeing now is that we are in this macro bull market. And you look at the US M2, look at that. This is why asset prices are rising, guys. It continues to rise. Global liquidity continues to rise. And Bitcoin and risk assets and like the stock market and so forth are all correlated. So they follow that. And now there is a lag. So keep that in mind. But this is all great signs, guys. Very, very bullish. Now, should we be super bullish? Like call home, call everybody and tell them the bull market, the next bull run is happening right now? No, we have to be careful because as mentioned earlier, we could see dead cat bounces. The market could retest the lows again before having a true breakout. My bias, of course, is that I hope this is the true breakout, right? But we got to be patient. This is where patience comes into investing, and we let the market show us what it wants to do, let it confirm the move. And here, Analyst Crypto currently said, nice bounce for Bitcoin here so far, needs to reclaim $91,000 before we get too excited. Great to see some signs of life throughout the market. Should be a fun week. So we're seeing signs of life, guys. And, you know, the macro is lining up. Like I said, global liquidity, the Fed last week signaled, hey, we are ramping down QT, quantitative tightening, right? So we know the path next is quantitative easing. What have I been saying over the past 2 years? They will pause rate hikes, then they'll cut rates, then they'll wrap up QT, and then it'll go back to the status quo of quantitative easing. They have to keep printing. This is the fiat currency system. And remember, this, when the more they debase and print, the more global liquidity goes up, the more asset prices go up. That's what you have to understand is your foundational knowledge, whether you're investing in stocks, real estate, crypto, precious metals like gold, and much more. So these are the facts. This is not emotions. This is not feelings. This is not fairy tales. This is the data telling us what is happening here. So very good sign. And I wanted to share what Arthur Hayes had to say. He's, of course, the founder of BitMEX, or the co-founder. He says, I bet Bitcoin hits $110,000 before it retests 76.5K. Why? The Fed is going from QT to QE for treasuries, and tariffs don't matter because transitory inflation. He said Jay Powell told him so. He says, my grammar was a bit off. What I mean is that the price is more likely to hit 110K than 76.5K. If we hit 110K, then it's Yahtzee time, and we ain't looking back until 250. Now, I don't know if Bitcoin's going to go to 250, right? We have to look at the charts and be reasonable. But what he's saying as far as the next directional move is that if Bitcoin is able to rally to 100K, 110K, and we break through those respective support levels, that's it. But there is a chance it could retest that $76,000 price point. So this is why I'm saying don't call home yet. Don't get super bullish yet. But it's a process, right? It's a path. We have to go through certain phases and steps. and we're getting there. We're stair stepping our way out of this thing, even if it comes back and it tests 76 and then bounces up. Okay, so it is what it is. But in order to make the money we were looking to make and get the returns we want to get, we got to be patient, and we got to control our emotions. So I hope you guys see what's happening here. But overall, things are looking good. Even the altcoin charts are setting up nicely, almost following Bitcoin. So you look at the XRP chart here, right? And Solana also breaking back upwards. ETH, not a good example, but ETH has been struggling a lot, but I think ETH will eventually catch up. But guys, things are setting up nicely here for a reversal. Just got to go through the roller coaster ride, as many of you know. Now, one of the things that has been challenging during this corrective phase is that the tariff war thing was a big narrative in the macro that was driving a lot of sell pressure. And now we got updates that the White House is scaling back the April 2nd tariff plan. So it's been a roller coaster ride. It's been bipolar, right? The president's been bipolar on this topic. And it's kind of crazy. However, I think the market has moved past the shock aspect of it. They're not as shocked anymore. They're not like, oh my God, terrorists, oh my God, right? They've kind of moved past it like, okay, we see what's happening here. This thing's just back and forth. Let's just ignore it now. So while it's not completely, we're not completely out of the woods yet with this stuff, the market, the shock value to the market and the selling pressure is kind of over, right? No one's like scared as they were a month ago where all these things were new and it brought a lot of uncertainty in the market. So that's a good sign is what I'm trying to say. That headwind, that macro headwind is out of the way for the most part. Now, what are the whales doing? The guys who actually move the markets? Well, they were declining on their accumulation with wallets, Bitcoin wallets of 10 or more Bitcoin. However, it's plateaued, but it started picking up slightly. So that's a good sign. One of the things I said in the last live stream was I was looking to make sure this was not a downtrend, because if it was a downtrend and this thing was dumping like this, going downhill, time to panic. The whales know something we don't. However, there's a bit of a calm in the storm here. So good sign. Another validation. The bull market's not over. Whale patterns. Once again, we're not looking at one or just two metrics. We're looking at multiple metrics, right? The other aspect, are coins being pushed back onto the exchanges? Well, we saw a very slight uptick, but nothing compared to, let's say if we go a bit further out, nothing compared to what we saw in the past, right, guys? So let me see. What's an easier way to look at this last year? Okay. So, last year in March and into April 2020, they were selling because of the Bitcoin ETF buy the rumor, sell the news event. And so you can see we're nowhere near, and we're not even on an uptrend as yet, just a slight uptick here. So this is a very good sign that, the whales are not going to dump on us and the bull market's over. So it's important to watch what they're doing. Now, before I go further, guys, be sure to check out our sponsors. Uphold, a great crypto platform to buy, sell, trade, stake crypto. Propy, they are putting real estate on chain. They have a great token, and you can earn some free tokens as well. Check out the link in the description. Check out BitGo, one of the top tier crypto custodians. Check out VeChain, great enterprise blockchain doing amazing things. And also sign up for my free email newsletter on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon and my new course at mycryptocourse.com. All the links will be in the description. Guys, hit that thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button for the bull rally that come April into May, we're going to see some gains and new all-time highs. All right, let's continue here. Bitcoin Pi cycle top indicator, nowhere near flashing, guys. It has called the tops for the most part of all of the prior bull market cycles, right? We've seen this before. So while the trend is that they are moving closer, the two moving averages, the 111-day moving average and the 350-day moving average, they have not hit nor crossed as yet. Another sign the bull market is not over. Here's another. The Crypto Bull Run Index, which uses a variety of metrics and aggregates them and puts out a score, also showing we have not hit yet. Usually in the past, this thing is 90 and above. We have not even hit 90 yet. So still got ways to go. But you see the chop, right? The chop, every cycle is a bit different. You go back to like 2013, 2014, double peak. Who would have saw that coming, right? So this is where you got to be patient. You got to look at the different metrics. You got to take profits along the way, have a profit taking plan. 2020 and 2021 was also a double peak type market, right? If you look for at least Bitcoin, I should say, if you look at the charts, Bitcoin, I mean, everyone thought we were in a bear market after the collapse. Well, I shouldn't say collapse, but the major correction in May of 2021. Then Bitcoin proceeded to rally and hit a new all-time high. So this is where we got to follow the data closely, not be emotional, and see what the charts and the data is telling us. And like I said, have a profit-taking plan so that you walk away from this bull market with money in your pockets. And guys, look, adoption is booming. We are seeing across the globe crypto legislation coming in. Today, we got updates that China is going to be opening up crypto. We don't have full confirmation, but the word is on the street, essentially. And we've seen this, right? We get breadcrumbs. We get these folks telling us about all these things here and there, and then the actual news gets revealed. Well, many of you may recall, I wrote a newsletter about this in Q3 of last year, where I stated China would open up crypto ETFs to its mainland citizens. Hong Kong was the testing ground. We know China controls Hong Kong, of course. And the ETFs solve the problem that China is worried about, which is capital leaving their countries. Once it's in that ETF wrapper, ain't nobody moving anything. They can't move it out the country. Could they redeem? Of course they could redeem. But the point is, if people are putting crypto, they're putting the Chinese yuan or whatever into crypto, it will then stay. And if they do it into the ETF, it will stay in the ETF, right? I think many of you understand that. So if you haven't checked out that newsletter, I'll put a link here in the chat for you guys to check it out. I think this would be a major bull market catalyst, folks. If China comes out and said, hey, we're opening up Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs to mainland citizens, watch what's going to happen. The market's going to pump like crazy. Because remember, China historically has been a detractor. They tried to ban Bitcoin mining and much more. But things are moving in the right direction here. Now, Michael Saylor, my God, this man continues to buy Bitcoin via his company Strategy. He says MSTR has acquired 6,911 Bitcoin for approximately $584 million at approximately $84,529 per Bitcoin, and has achieved a BTC yield of 7.7% year to date 2025. As of March 23rd, 2025, they now hold over 506,000 Bitcoin acquired for $33.7 billion at approximately $66,608 per Bitcoin. This is wild. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. The leverage worries me. If he was just simply using MicroStrategy's cash reserves and buying Bitcoin, no problem. God bless. But the man is raising billions and buying Bitcoin. It just takes some sort of black swan event or something. And I hope it doesn't happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen. Just as a student of his history in the financial markets, this type of leverage worries me. Go back to 2008. Go back to, throughout history. It worries me a lot. And I hope nothing bad happens. I'm not wishing anything bad. I'm just worried because if something happens with MicroStrategy, it's going to be bad for the market, guys. But hopefully not, right? But let's see. Hopefully everything works out. Now, we continue to see a surge in tokenization. Yesterday, I told you guys about Fidelity launching a tokenized money market fund on Ethereum. That news was reported yesterday. Well, RWA.xyz, which reports on a lot of the tokenization that's happening on different blockchains, they did a recap of what happened last week. Athena plus Securitize launch Converge, BlackRock plus Superstate plus Centrifuge win $1 billion tokenization competition. Figure bills on-chain mortgage markets. Guys, as Larry Fink said, tokenization is the future of finance. They're going to put everything on the blockchain. Real estate, mortgages, insurance, you name it, your card deeds, your ID, your digital identity. They're putting the fiat currencies, stablecoins, CBDCs, right? They're going to put stocks, and you're going to have 24/7 trading markets, truly global markets. Republic plus Hamilton Lane launch tokenized retail fund. Dubai launches tokenized property title deed. Man, if you don't recognize what's happening, I don't know what to say. The adoption is happening, and this type of news, guys, guess what, is not on CNN or CNBC or Fox. Right? A lot of mainstream media plays on your fear and distracts you. This celebrity, this, and don't get me wrong, there's legit news items that we need to know about, but a lot of it is bullshit just to distract you. This is why you need to filter it and make sure you're paying attention to data, what the Fed is doing, what they're doing now, not what they're saying, right? What these big institutional players are doing, where they're putting their money, because this is incredibly bullish stuff. Now, interesting news. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman in talks with Visa for crypto stablecoin payments wallet. This is interesting. Now, I'm not a fan of WorldCoin. Many of you, may be familiar with Sam Altman's the creator of WorldCoin, and now I think they call it World Network. And it's a bit draconian for me, but let's see what they come up with here, guys. We know Visa has been big on stablecoins, and they've been using USDC and doing a lot with blockchain. So even their competitors, MasterCard and American Express and so forth, are doing the same thing. So things are moving in the right direction, folks. And speaking of Visa, crypto Visa card startup Rain raises $24.5 million from Northwest Galaxy and Coinbase Ventures. So guys, if you're an entrepreneur, you have an idea, put your pitch deck together and go talk to these VCs and hedge funds. You're going to get money. So the firm is focused on providing consumers with a way to spend stablecoins with limited friction. So you see the infrastructure that's being built here. You see the capital that's flowing into these companies to build the infrastructure, right? These are all bullish signs. But as mentioned at the beginning, you got to be patient to go through the volatility and control your emotions. Check this out. Crypto is heading towards a one-stop shop multi-asset investment platforms as merger and acquisition activity heats up, according to Bernstein. So, guys, we're seeing a ton of M&A activity. Kraken bought NinjaTrade. There's talks about Coinbase acquiring Deribit, the largest options platform in the world. Robinhood, they're completing their acquisition and integration of Bitstamp Exchange. So it's incredible what's happening, guys. These are signs of a bull market, of a growing industry. All these players are spending the money to expand their footprint, their market share, and expand globally, right? It is a race right now, a land grab to get as much as possible. They know what's coming. They know everything will run on the blockchain. So they want to have the infrastructure, the ability for people to not only invest in crypto assets, but digital assets, the tokenized assets, tokenized stocks, real estate, and much more. So huge, huge news. Guys, once again, check out our sponsors: Uphold, Proppy, BitGo, VeChain. All the links will be in the description. Sign up for the free email newsletter on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon, and check out my new course at mycryptocourse.com. All right, guys, I'll take a look at the chat now. We can answer some questions. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, guys. Let's see. All right, we got some spam here in the comments. Let me ban some of these people. Whoops. Okay. Fred Williams says, great show as always, Tony, all the way from Glasgow, Scotland. Fred, welcome in. I've yet to visit Scotland. Definitely want to. Great to have you. Thomas Chauncey says, NWO WorldCoin. Yeah, New World Order. Let's see here. Listening to the new Bitcoin-centric podcast, it sounds far more cultish than before. No longer any talk. Yeah, this is why, guys, you got to be careful, right? There are influencers and YouTubers and podcasters who just like to tell you stories, fairy tales. Well, I'm not here for a religion. I'm here to make money, man. And I've been saying that for years. So we want to pay attention to the data, the adoption, where the capital is flowing, right? This is why I'm sharing all this stuff with you guys. global liquidity, whale activity, right? What the hell is happening with the charts, the comparison to the stock market, in addition to the DXY, right? This is not stuff I just woke up and I'm telling you something I dreamt about, but hey, this is what is happening to reality. So you got to make sure you filter out what you listen to. Are you here for fairy tales and conspiracy theories, or are you here to make money, right? It's so important to you to do that. Nati, welcome from Dubai. Good evening. Robert Tuzulo says, by the end of the year, Bitcoin $110,000, ETH 5K, Link $75, and Beam 45 cents. Well, I'm hoping for higher prices, Robert. I think when you say by the end of the year, are you saying that's the after a correction? Because I don't think those are all-time highs. Bitcoin is so close. Bitcoin was so close to 110. It was like, what, 108 before we got the correction. So if it were to go to new all-time highs, it's at least going to 125 to 130. And I think, honestly, I think Bitcoin can hit 150 to 170. In a really great scenario, it tops out at about a 200. This is based on the Fibonacci models now. Now, there's no guarantees, of course, but that's what I personally think. However, I'm going to start taking profits on Bitcoin. As soon as it hits 125, 130, then 150, I'm taking profits on the way up because there are no guarantees it gets to higher prices. If this correction is anything that you should reflect on, right? There are no guarantees when it comes here, but we use the data to form our thesis and we monitor it closely and we adjust accordingly. Joaquim, welcome in from Rio. Great to have you. Oscar, welcome in from France. Let's see here. Michael M, thanks for keeping us level-headed through all the FUD. Yeah, absolutely, Michael. It took me a while to get to this understanding, right? But I made sure I went on the journey of educating myself, bypassing the emotions and the wild swings of the market to say, what is actually happening here? And that's why I'm trying to share that knowledge, guys. It really helped me. And thank you, Michael, for being a channel member. Vivek, so I said earlier about, can we trust this pump? I said that this could be a dead cat bounce. And Bitcoin could, doesn't mean you have to, go back down and test the $76,000 price point. Then we see the true breakout, or this could be the true breakout. But this is where your patience is important, right? We don't know yet, and no one has a crystal ball, but we're seeing positive signs. One of the things I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin reclaimed the 200-day moving average. Very good sign. Higher highs, higher lows. However, nothing's stopping it from just going like that and then true breakout, right? So just keep that in mind. And we got to be patient and let the market show us what it wants to do, and we get confirmation. So this is where tune in, subscribe to my newsletter because I'll give the updates there as well. Billy Buxton says, have you ever covered Telcoin before? I think I've talked about Telcoin. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I don't hold Telcoin, just for the record. But I've seen some people trade it and make money off of it. I think Dan from 360 Trader was one who I remember trading that. I'm trying to see if I can find USD market. Let's see, crypto.com. Okay. Looks like I did talk about it before. Okay, guys, let me actually pull this up so you guys can see it better. Let me adjust this here. If it would work, come on. Okay, just adjusting the Fibonacci model on here. So Telcoin, was it 6 cents all-time high? Good sign. It is up off the bear market bottom. That's a good sign. That's something you want to see, right? That it's not down here still not doing anything. Obviously, it has a pullback with the rest of the market. So good to see there's life. Still want to see more strength. This could be a coin that runs really good later on, but it's got work to do to get back to that old all-time high. So we got to be patient here. Vatican says, Tony, would you convert your near to SWI? I can't tell you that, Vatican. I don't hold Near, but I do hold SWI. I know that Near has a strong, what do you call it? AI narrative. So SWI, I am bullish on SWI, based on what I see happening after my interview with Evan Chang, founder of SWI. Near, let's see. I can find okay, so Near, let's see what's happening with Near here. This was launched in 2022. So far, this bull market, Near is performing well if you look at where it was launched at, right? Off the bear market bottom, of course, rallied really strong in March, guys. Obviously, had a pullback with the rest of the market, but it rallied again in December, but then major pullback. So let's see. This is where you want to be diversified because you don't know which coins are going to perform the best. People will tell you, based on emotional, whatever, like psychology. They're, oh yes, this coin's going to run forever and it's going to go to this. Well, you don't know that. Show me the charts. Show me what's happening, right? Tell me about adoption on the blockchain and the metrics. So it's important to consider all the different factors. Hamal says, this is Hamal from India. Tectonic shift happening 5 years from now. World will be quite different for the finance world. Hamal, you're spot on. We saw just this past week, and I reported on it, the folks at the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, they are moving to 24-hour trading, and they said in part it's because of crypto. And when you think about all the tokenization that's happening in 5 years, a lot of the stocks, a lot of the commodities and securities are going to be in the blockchain. So it will be 24 hours, 7 trading. No more opening and closing bell. As I've said many times, no weekends or holidays. It will be open, and there will be secondary and tertiary markets created out of these things because of the fractionalization, the real-time settlement of blockchain. Tim Hun says, do you think 2026 will be more bullish than 2025 will ultimately be? So Tim, we are in the final phase of the bull market. So 2026, I believe we are entering a bear market. And this is based on the market cycles, right? So what we've seen historically, let me pull this up here. Actually, let me use this. So I tweeted out about this yesterday. The bull market, guys, it started down here, January 2023. So we've been in 2 years of a bull market, right? We're now in 2025. We're expecting higher highs. The bear market was all of 2022. Complete downtrend. We've been in an uptrend since the beginning of 2023. So we're in that final phase. And let me pull up, I think it's BTC charts. They do a great job of, highlighting the macro here. So the bull market usually runs in 3 years cycles, and then you have your 4th year being the down year. So look at what happened from 2010, 2011, 2012. 2011, 2012, and 2013. 2014 bear market. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 bear market, 2019 into 2020 and 2021 bull market years. See the pattern, right? And this aligns with the election years, right? And global liquidity and the Bitcoin halving. So we had our bear market in 2022. Bull market started January 2023. You see the gains here, green candles, and these are yearly candles. This year, you can't, this is going off of just a few months. So this is not the complete year. We know we're going to see higher highs based on the data. So this will be a green candle year. And then 2026 expected to be a bear market red candle year. So this is where you want to have a cash out plan, know which price points you're taking profits at, guys. So important so the market doesn't pass you by. So Tim, I would, based on this pattern, right, anticipate this thing to wrap up this year. And obviously we're going to follow the metrics closely. Eric says, Tony, a DeFi renaissance is awakening. Please show us the Curve Finance chart and give us your thoughts. Curve Finance, I've heard of it. I don't hold it, so I'm just being transparent with you guys. Let's see. Is it the Curve DAO token? I don't know if it is. Oops. I'm assuming it is, but it's down from its all-time high, a little bit of a bounce off of here, but still has work to do to rally, right? You want to see more strength. You may say, well, what type of strength? Well, look at the XRP chart. XRP broke part of its all-time high just about a bit, right? That's strength right there. Look at the H-bar chart. That's strength right there, right? It's moved up significantly to those Fibonacci levels, not far from its all-time high. So that's what you want to see for these altcoins. Now, don't get me wrong, the market moves in phases, and some altcoins are leaders and some are laggards, but that doesn't mean the laggards won't catch up by the time this market ends, the bull market ends, right? Where things get really euphoric, there's a lot of liquidity, so something to keep in mind. But there are no guarantees, as always, and you have to, diversify. Make sure you're diversified. Gas fee says, uncharted waters right now. The most powerful person on the planet is a crypto bull. I don't know if it's uncharted. Maybe the tariff fears had people feel like it's uncharted. But guys, after a massive run up in Q4, a correction was due. We saw this, if you recall, in January of 2021. Look at this, right? Let me see if I can zoom in a bit more here. Look at this. The date, Thursday, January 7th. Look at this. Boom. Big correction, right? Now, you could say, well, this correction is larger than that one. Yes. But the point is, a correction was due after a strong Q4 run-up. But what added more sell pressure, like I was saying at the beginning, the tariff fears. And this was not exclusive to crypto. It happened in the stock market. Same thing. Look at the NASDAQ, right? The S&P 500, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, the live stream, we are now reclaiming that 200-day moving average, which is bullish. So everything started dumping on fears, and this is because of the macro uncertainty. However, those uncertainties, as I've been saying, are being put to bed a bit with news coming out that the White House is rolling back, and the initial shock aspect is gone from the market. So we are still in a bull market. We're still seeing the necessary signals and signs that the bull market will continue with global liquidity, DXY collapsing, and just gold being a leader here, as we saw in last year, and the other assets will catch up. Guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, the heart button, subscribe if you haven't as yet. Doesn't cost you anything. It helps support the live stream and the channel, guys. Thank you so much. And also, as mentioned, whales are still accumulating. Vatican says, hi, Tony. How many times would you update your ledger? Well, Vatican, it's important that I'm assuming you're talking about the Ledger hardware wallet. I'm assuming you should, I should say, I recommend that you make sure you get all the latest and greatest firmware and software updates on Ledger. I make sure I do that so that, especially in a bull market, when you may need to move funds and to cash out. So just make sure you have your private keys backed up accordingly. So if anything happens, you can easily recover it, right? And but I recommend updating, guys. I do make sure I do that. A lot of those things, those updates are security fixes, secure updates to security levels. So make sure you do that. Bio Chef T says, hey, Tony, any thoughts on AVAX? Yeah, so I'm a AVAX token holder. I don't have a big bag of it, but I am bullish on this project. It's getting a lot of adoption, and there's a lot of network activity. Now, great thing is that it did bounce off the bear market bottom. It showed signs of strength in 2024. However, for the run in Q4, it didn't show as much strength, and it's been down just like everything else. But I do believe it will run. There's a ETF filing out there. It's a coin that's in the top 10 to 15. So it has the visibility and it's getting a lot of adoption. Personally, because I'm biased, because I hold a token, I'm hoping to get to, $200 plus. That would be amazing. But there are no guarantees, as always. But I like, overall, its chart is looking decent. Not saying it looks spectacular, but it looks decent. A spectacular chart would be like XRP, right? And you may say, Tony, you're biased. Well, no, just look at the chart. I mean, it already retraced to its all-time high. The next move will put it into price discovery. That's just the chart. And even like H bar, very good sign. That's a good looking chart. That's strong, right? It's not far from the all-time high. So keep that in mind. And like, look, I hold coins like VeChain, and I'm hoping VeChain does really well, but it has to show more strength. So no bias here, guys. Just what I see on the charts. We need more strength here. In the next rally, I want to see this. I want to see VeChain go up to higher levels on the Fibonacci model here. Raphael says, what's up with Oscar? I'm not sure what that is, Raphael. Peter, the cabbage eater, always love to tune in from Toronto. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that, my friend. Amelia Raid says, thank you again for all the non-biased news. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we want to keep it factual, and we want to look at the data. My Toro says, thanks, Tony, for being objective and sincere in your analysis. Don't forget to take profit. Yeah, absolutely. I learned a lesson from this. Love from Nigeria. Thank you. Appreciate that. Emily says, hi from Spain. Hearing lots about Jasmy coin on Binance. And I don't know what Jasmy coin is, Emily. It's the first time I'm hearing about this. Let me see. Is this a meme coin or like an actual project? Let's see the about section. Jasmy coin is a cryptocurrency project of a Tokyo-based Internet of Things provider, Jasmy Corporation. Okay, so it's like IoT. I honestly have not heard anything about this. If it is going to be listed on Binance, that could be good. A lot of liquidity is going to come in, so that can help the price. In full honesty, that goes for any coin, right? Let's see. It's all-time high. Well, its all-time high was $3.42. This is in 2021. Been down since. Yeah, it's down a lot. So it needs some help here. And let's see if it can rally. But yeah, it's down significantly. Let's see here. How many times people should someone... Vatican, are you talking about the Ledger hardware wallet? Because if it is, it depends on the updates they release. So as they release them, you can update accordingly. Anirban says, can you please discuss a few quantum computing related cryptos? So just to be honest, I don't know of any real quantum computing related cryptos. I know there's a lot of AI themed cryptos, but I haven't, to my knowledge, none. So if you know of any, you can drop in the chat and I can take it as a takeaway to look at that for you guys for the next stream, but I don't know of any at the top of my head. XRP Plumbing, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for the $4.99 XRP Plumbing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mulageta says, can you discuss about the Polygon token? So I do have some Matic in my portfolio. So many of you may know Matic is the native token of Polygon. And let's see what's going on with Polygon. Not looking too great. Oof, bleeding out right now. Yeah, it's very oversold right now. Okay. So again, I hold the token. I don't like what I'm seeing here though. This is kind of rough. We need to see more strength. Right now it's showing a lot of weakness. And once again, I hold a token, right? So I'm not being biased here. And I'm hoping it can do better, but it's been on this like sloping downtrend. You can see it rallied in the moments we had, rallies in the market, but those rallies are getting weaker and weaker. Even in the Q4 rally that we experienced last year, look at this. Rough. That is rough. So, man, hoping, even if it doesn't make new all-time highs, you hope some of these tokens, right? And this is going to be the case for a good amount of tokens. They can at least do something like this, get near back the old all-time high as we head into the bear market, right? So you can at least make some money. Obviously, we all want our coin to do this, right? And it hit new all-time highs, but that is not the case. Not every coin will be a winner. And this is the same thing in the stock market. Not every stock is going to be a winner. Go back to the 90s, the dot-com boom. Not every company was a winner. You guys get it. Fred says, Tony, taking profits on Bitcoin just now is extremely risky, pal. As in, if it does go parabolic, we normal guys will be priced out forever. Yeah, Fred. So just so you know, my strategy in full transparency, there's some Bitcoin I'm never selling. I literally have it put away. It's gonna probably go to my daughter, right? But there's some Bitcoin I am taking profits on. Yes. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to get as much financial freedom, wipe out debt, improve, boost up my retirement, of course. And what do you call it? Do some life grade updates. So to your point, Fred, there's some Bitcoin, it ain't being sold unless there's an absolute emergency, some life event happens, God forbid. But I'm leaving some Bitcoin as is, and I'm going to be selling some for profit. XRP Plumbing says it's time for shaking and bacon. Drew says, any truth to the rumors? I'm not sure what you're referencing. Truth Heal says, do you think Ripple will sell XRP in their escrow to the US government at a discount with understanding the US government will hold it for 20 years? Everyone wins. I don't know, Truth. There's a lot of people putting out speculative stories. So you got to be careful with the fairy tales, right? Be careful to be able to distinguish between someone saying, hey, this is what the government, we don't know what the government's going to do. And we don't know there's any truth there. There's a lot of people who make content for views that they put together, Federal Reserve is going to buy a ton of XRP and whatever, right? Well, show us some facts, right? Show us some details here. The only thing I know that's close to that is Bitcoin, where Bitcoin reserve being set up. But even that has its challenges, right? Because you have to pitch it to Congress. They have to find a way to buy the Bitcoin without using taxpayer dollars. So there's complications here. So someone just saying, hey, the Ripple will sell the XRP escrow. What basis, right? Who's telling you these things? So make sure they're not telling you that just for views and engagement. Hey, Peter, welcome in. Great to have you. Lunatics 101 says, with all the adoption, do you expect coins to dip 80 to 90% in the bear market? That's a great question. I don't think this upcoming bear market will be as bad as the ones we've seen historically. Here's why. You have a lot of ETFs, which are hoarding a lot of coins. And, as you get more altcoin ETFs, that's going to be the case for those altcoins. So the selling will be reduced because institutional investors, for the most part, they don't panic sell. Yes, they're going to be people who are going to redeem their funds and do what they need to do. And you're going to see more long-term holding. So I don't think a lot of people are going to be dumping as much. Will there be a correction? Hell yes, right? Bear markets. We've seen it. It happens in the stock market. It happens in crypto. There's no exclusive thing here to crypto. So if you look at 2022, what happened? Big sell-off, right? You look at, let's look at the NASDAQ here. This tech has been a strong mover. 2022, big sell-off. So this is, the bear markets are not exclusive to crypto, but it's for the stock market and much more. Now, could we see, is it probable that there's an 80 to 90% downturn? Of course, because there could be something cataclysmic in the market, kind of a black swan event. But if there's no black swan event, I think it's not going to be as intense of a bear market or sell-off for crypto, at least. Because you look at the stock market, bear market, it is not as bad as crypto. Crypto is much more volatile, right? Huge, deeper corrections. But the same goes for the upside. Nothing moves like it to the upside. It is incredible. That's why Paul Tudor Jones, billionaire investor, said in 2020, Bitcoin and crypto are the fastest horse in the race of assets, if you get the analogy. Guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, the like button, subscribe if you haven't as yet. Check out our sponsors. Uphold, great place to buy, sell, trade, stay crypto. Proppy, putting real estate on chain. BitGo, one of the top tier crypto custodians. VeChain, one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains. Be sure to subscribe to my free email newsletter on Substack, link in the description. Check out my book on Amazon, and it's available in paperback and digital. Check out my new course at mycryptocourse.com. Pit 1890 says, do you have any long-term holds past this bull run outside of Bitcoin? No. So Bitcoin, because it's the most scarce, as far as the number of tokens and things like that, and the adoption we're seeing, I'm going to say just Bitcoin. However, when the bear market comes, I plan to take some of my profits and reinvest it. So I'll be buying possibly XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and these again, maybe some new tokens. I'll have to do my analysis at that point, but I'm planning in the back of my mind the next bull market, 2028. So once I get my profits from this bull market, some of it will be reinvested. Cordero Smith says, hey, Tony, the Chia blockchain, XCH, will be used for splitting securities into asset certificates and dividend certificates. So I haven't heard of this, Cordero. I'll take a look at that, but I've never heard of it, honestly. But if they are, that's really great. David Robertson says, anything going on with Proppy? Yeah, Proppy is doing great. They're getting a lot of adoption. Let me see if we can pull up the Proppy chart here. So I am a Proppy token holder, in full disclosure. Let's see here. This is a really nice chart. You see the strength, right? This is the strength I've been talking about. Just like the XRP chart, just like the H-bar chart, you're seeing a lot of strength from Proppy. Now it's down, just like everything else, right now, but it rallied really strong in the run-up last year. Now, what you want to see is the next rally. It needs to show some more strength. But it did do an amazing move, guys, last year. And I'm hoping it can hit new all-time highs. I think it can. It's not far from there. And that would be really sweet. I'm bullish on this project. And like I said, I've been a token holder since 2018. I saw them and I was like, wait a minute. They're putting real estate on chain. I got to take a bet on this. So really, really big stuff here happening with Proppy. Gas Fifi says, so Raul's banana will still make it. Yeah. Shout out to Raul Pal in the banana zone. Yeah. Guys, this thing runs in phases. I mean, if you just zoom out on the chart, right? All of you can go to TradingView and just zoom out on the chart here. You can pull up the Bitcoin chart, whatever, XRP chart, Ethereum. We've seen this before. Pump, correction, pump, correction, pump, and then you have the final bear market. But nothing new here, guys. Yes, there's a little bit of extended corrections here, you could argue, but look at what happened last year. A lot of people thought the bull market was over last year because that was a brutal summer right there. And with the Japanese yen carry trade, that was rough, right? Everybody was getting impatient. Look, I was getting impatient. I'm human, right? Even though I've been here for a while, it's like, man, this really sucks. Like, come on, get going already. But as I've been harping on, you got to be patient and control your emotions. That's a big part of this game. Let's see here. Hey, Truth Heals. I responded. I answered. I don't know where you're streaming from X. I did answer your question earlier. Maybe you missed it. Appreciate that, XRP Plumbing. Vatican says, should I update my ledger? Vatican, like I said earlier, as many times as Ledger put out updates, you should update. So I generally check in once per month to see if there's any updates to software and things like that. Silent Q says, it's pump time. Yes. So I think, as we said at the beginning, maybe this is a bit of a dead cat bounce and then Bitcoin tests 76K again before pumps, or this is the true breakout. So we'll have to be patient here. Kiet says, QE pumps into the last quarter will fool people into up forever to bag hold. Happens every time. Yeah, Kiet, such a great point. It's the same story, different cycle. And guys, things are going to get euphoric. They will get nuts and crazy. And you will think this thing will keep going. But remember, bull markets don't last forever, just like bear markets don't last forever. And there will be a correction. Take your profits. Have a plan. Write down what you're taking. Many of the channel members and the course members have access to the cash out plan template. So if you're a channel member on YouTube or you bought the course, there's links I provide in the resources section to a cash out plan. It's a Google Sheets template, so you can check it out. So once again, to access that, get a become a channel member, or you could purchase the course if you want. But guys, just look at this pattern recognition and just logic will tell you bull markets don't last forever. Same thing, bear markets don't last forever. And the time to buy is the fear. Time to sell, the greed zone. And once again, I call it a zone because no one can call the exact top. So I hope you guys understand that. Yeah, for sure, gas fees. Nawang says, can you give us your thoughts on VeChain? Yeah, I touched on it a bit earlier. So I'm a VET token holder. I'm bullish on this project. We saw some strength in Q4. That's a good sign. Obviously, it pulled back due to the market pulling back significantly. However, we want to see more strength, right? Non-biased take. I'm a token holder. I want VeChain in the next pump to be up here. And then, I would love for it to rally to new highs. So we're waiting for that really strong move from VeChain. However, once again, good sign that it is let's see here. It is moving off the bear market bottom. Drew, I don't know anything about Swift coin. I don't know who came up with that. Truth He says Jasmine coin is a meme from Japan. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't get involved with Hey Tony, the Chia blockchain will be used for okay, I saw somebody post that David Sachs is highly invested in Chia. I don't think so. David Sachs sold all his crypto, so I don't know who said that, but yeah, I don't hold this token. I don't know much about it. Oof. Wait, what? This token was trading at $1,500. Now it's down to 12. That's brutal. Yeah, brutal. And I don't know. David Sachs sold all his crypto, so let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything here about that. Ben's share. Guys, hit that thumbs up button. Hit the heart button. Hit the star button wherever you're watching and listening. Seconds of Meditation says, hey, Tony, any advice of those who are just getting started in crypto? Well, I'm going to be biased and say, check out my course, because you got to at least understand the foundations here. But to answer the question is really, it's important to study the data and the charts and not be emotional. The emotions is what gets people wrecked, because they panic sell, they buy into pumps instead of buying the fear, right? So I told you guys recently, I bought the dip as we were in this corrective phase. I bought XRP, ETH, and SWI. So you buy the blood, fear, depression, right? And you sell the euphoric greed tops. So, but go to tradingview.com, start pulling up the charts. And I know a lot of it's going to look like squiggly lines and like, what the hell is this? But you got to start somewhere, right? Start at least with pattern recognition. Oh, Bitcoin ran up in 2021, but then it came down in 2022, right? But then it's been running up since. And even if you look at the S&P 500, S&P 500 was moving up. 2022, it crashed. Then it started running up again. Pattern recognition, right? And then you go from there. Vatican says, hi, Tony. Anytime for a real bull run when Q3 or Q4 this year? So we've been in a bull market. But yeah, as far as, you know, when all the alts start pumping, I think we may see come April, May, and June, some of these alts that have been lagging are going to wake up. And if that is not the top of the market, and it goes later into the year, then yes, you're going to see, I think, the euphoric monster run up where a lot of people are going to be super bullish and, you know, jumping in. Peter says, Tony, is there a possibility that they set a price on ISO compliant coins this cycle? When you say they set a price, who are they? Or who are you talking about? And I be careful with some of these narratives. I do think that ISO coins, there's a small narrative there. I don't think it's as big as many people have been saying. There are some people who push that narrative because it fits their portfolio, right? So just be careful. Keep things balanced. Not saying there's something wrong with ISO coins. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm just saying don't let that narrative become this massive thing that it's really not, right? And you have to make sure the charts align with that. There's a lot of people talking about like XRP escrow in the US government. Okay, that's just a theory. There's no solid evidence of that. And be careful with the narratives. There are a lot of YouTubers who just put out narratives, right? If this, then that. Be careful with that. Keep it balanced. Rob Rate says, hi, Tony. My Flare holdings are as much as my XRP holdings. Do you hold FLR, and what is your opinion on it regarding the bull market? Thanks. Yeah, Rob, I hold FLR tokens because I did the snapshot because I had held the XRP tokens, of course. So I'm currently delegating my Flare tokens, earning the rewards. So that's really great. My pool of FLR tokens is growing. And I'm hoping Flare can do really well. So if we take a look at the chart here. So in 2024, great sign. We saw really nice strength here. It went down after that big pump. It saw a bounce, you know, come to Q4 rally. So I'm hoping to see more strength here, and I'm hoping it can move up to new highs. That'd be really good, but good signs overall. And I'm bullish on it, but as always, we want to see strong. We want to see more strength here. So the next rally, this thing really has to start moving up. Sunlight says, are you going to sell all your XRP? Yeah. I'm planning to exit as much as possible and take some of the profits, buy back in the bull market and the bear market, excuse me. Thoion, if I'm saying that right. Hi, Tony. I've been watching your show from Cambodia. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in. DC Life says, Tony, what do you think of buy and hold for 10 years? Well, DC, it all depends on your financial situation. I think many people want to make returns and use the money right away. If you're in a financial situation where you don't need the money and you're okay stomaching running up, then watching it all go down, 10 years is a long time. So nothing wrong with that. There's people who killed it doing that with the stock market. Maybe they bought Google and Amazon. 10 years later, my goodness, their portfolio is up significantly, right? There's a quote, time in the markets is better than trying to time the markets. So it's all about your financial situation. If you're in a financial situation where you're like, yeah, I don't need the money. I'm just going to buy and accumulate and hold, and maybe it'll go to my kids or whoever, right? Then that's totally fine. For me, I have plans. I have some financial things I want to do, eliminate certain debts, lifestyle upgrades, boost up my retirement account, of course. And like I said, I'll take some of the profits and buy back in the bear market. And as mentioned earlier as well, there's some Bitcoin I'm never selling, and it'll go to my daughter for sure, unless there's some life update or whatever that comes up that I need to liquidate the asset. But that's my plan. But everybody's situation is different. Dwight Perry says just a ZBCN. I don't know what ZBCN is. I don't know if it's a meme coin. Zebek Network. Yeah, I don't know much about this. It's down right now, but so is everything. It looks like it was launched this year. Yeah, don't know much about this coin or what it is. It was founded in 2021. You got $35 million in investments from Circle, Coinbase. It's a it's a DePIN project. It's a DePIN project. Yeah, don't know much about this, and looks like it's in the very early stages. So founded in 2020, but the coin data just goes back to 2024. Mike says, what are the top AI coins to invest in long-term investment? Mike, that's a hard question. Long-term is a tough one, honestly. Short-term, I'll tell you what I'm holding: Render, Fetch. I know Near is a token people are holding as well, but Render and Fetch were my two big bets that paid off pretty well, and I believe they'll continue to. But there are other tokens out there as well. Long-term, it's tough because it depends on how those projects evolve. If they continue to get more funding to build out their infrastructure and do what they need to do. But I do believe AI technologies on blockchain will continue to expand as these two technologies converge. But, maybe if once again, just from what I hold, Fetch and Render, but Near could be a solid one as well. Daniel Doolittle says, what's the time frame on the next leg up? If you had to guess, take a stab at it. Yeah, so I believe the next leg up is coming in Q2, and that is April, May, June. It aligns with the stock market seasonality we've seen and what global liquidity has been doing. So we've been talking about the foundational elements that drive asset prices. So look at USM2. Right? You look at global liquidity, it is on the rise, and Bitcoin and the stock market follow that. In addition, the DXY is breaking down. So all of these things are conducive to a rally, and Q2 seasonality wise makes sense because you look at the metrics now with Bitcoin, reclaiming the 200-day moving average. In addition, it is exhausted from a seller standpoint. So you see, we were oversold, just like we were overbought in November, December, when we had a big rally in Q4, right? So right now we were in the oversold and we're coming out of it. All great signs conducive to the next rally. So I think the next rally is coming April, May, June, honestly. Then what's the typical thing we see in the summer times? Sell-in may go away. So there could be a cool off, another big correction. Doesn't mean the bull market's over. And then a continuation come late Q3 into Q4. Or some people have the thesis that this thing wraps up in Q2, that in June, it's over. Pack your bags, go home. We don't know yet. So this is where you have to pay attention. This is where you can't walk away from this market right now and not pay attention. This is the final phase. This year is the final phase, or the fifth wave. So we have to pay attention to the data and look at all the metrics I've been sharing with you guys. Whale activity, what are they doing? Bitcoin Pi Cycle Top Indicator, CBBI score, all these different factors will tell us what's happening. So to answer your question, April, May, June, I think is the next leg up. Cowabunga says, Tony, thoughts on Flare? Yeah, so I just touched on Flare recently. I hold it, like I mentioned, and I think it could potentially go to maybe 80 cents to $1, right? But we saw a lot of strength in Q4, but it's, kind of gave back all those gains. So that's not a good sign. We need to see strength, more strength, for it to go to those highs. If you guys understand what I'm saying. And in comparison, I'll give again, look at the XRP chart. That's a good chart. That's a good looking chart right there. Lots of strength. Look at the H-bar chart. That's a good chart. Good, showing strength, right? Not far from the all-time high. So this is where the context is important. Vincent Johnson, yes, we got to be patient for sure. Emily says, can you clarify for me if Ondo is related to the Fidelity tokenization of BlackRock's? Any thoughts on price? So Ondo, I know I've been saying this to you guys, like Ondo is a project I've been looking at, possibly investing in, because you're getting a lot of adoption. And I think they recently partnered with MasterCard. It's incredible. I don't hold the token right now, but I think there's a strong narrative, a lot of adoption. It could do really well. Could it go up to $3 or higher? It's possible. And there's, as Emily mentioned, some connections to BlackRock. So let's see here, Ondo, BlackRock. So they even recently brought the tokenized US Treasuries to the XRP ledger and much more. So I don't know if Fidelity is using them, by the way. Fidelity is using Ethereum. That news was we covered yesterday. Yeah, absolutely, Vincent Johnson. Now, obviously, the caveat to that is that you want to diversify, because some will die, just like certain companies in the stock market die, right? That's just the nature of markets. MPHZ Des says, what's your take on DeepN? I think DeepN is going to boom. I don't know how much of it is going to boom this cycle, but I think future bull markets, it will. This is a huge technology, guys, in connecting the real world with the digital world and tokenizing stuff. Like look at Helium Mobile, Hive Mapper, I think it's called. Just amazing stuff. And I'm going to look at investing in some DeepN projects, honestly. So Arjan says, Tony, what do you think about the Algorand chart? Let's take a look at Algorand here. I do hold Algorand in my portfolio, by the way. So just FYI there, guys. Algorand is down significantly from its all-time highs. Problem is, when it first launched, I think it was near $3.70. In the last bull market, this is what I'm talking about, guys. There's no guarantee a coin breaks its all-time high. So if you bought at $3, you're not getting a return here. However, if you bought the bottom in the bear market and you sold, in the run up in 2021, Okay, you made some profit, right? So here, Algorand not showing a lot of strength, guys. And once again, I hold the token. So I am hoping it can go higher. And I'm hoping in the next phase that it does. But we need to see strength here, guys. Not a good chart right now. So fingers crossed. And some of these coins are laggards, so don't get me wrong. They'll catch up, but this is why we diversify. Guys, hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, hit the like button wherever you're watching and listening. I'm going to wrap up the stream soon because it's been like an hour and a half here. But it's great to be on here, guys. The bull market's still alive. Vatican says top AI coins render near Tau Fet. Yeah. XRP New Zealand says, what's the worst coin you invested in? I'm trying to think here. Maybe Algorand hasn't performed. Everything else has performed. Solana, Cardano, and don't get me wrong, they're not like up. I bought the bear market bottom. They're not up like significantly, but Algorand is one that has not really done well. At least you're seeing some life from Cardano here. I have ETH, of course. ETH, even though it's dumped a bit, it did rally strong last year and even into Q4. So not as bad as Algorand. So XP Market, thanks for joining. Thank you for being a channel member. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm getting pretty tired of talking. Thank you guys for watching and listening. And once again, check out my sponsors, Uphold, Proppy, BitGo, VeChain, and check out our free newsletter on Substack, 100% free, book on Amazon, available in paperback and digital, and my new course at mycryptocourse.com. Thank you, guys. And as always, I wish you all the best of luck in this bull market, that you make significant returns. And friendly reminder, have a cash out plan. Know which price points you're taking a profit at. And remember, the bull market does not last forever. So you want to walk away from this bull market with money in your pocket. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all later.